So what's good, Team G fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. And yeah, man, here comes some more reasons why I'm not going with my homies and swimming in no lake. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm just not going to swim in no lake, fam. I'm not swimming in no lake. I'm not, what is it, skiing or whatever boarding, y'all. No, I'm not doing it. Not doing it, fam. No. You know what I mean? This is what they captured in a river shocked the world. River, lake, whatever, man. I know I'm gonna stay in the boat. And then the boat gotta be a certain size too. I'm not even going, fam. I be seeing y'all in some of these little small boats and a gator just come up under it, and if it wanna just hit it the right way, knock you over. Bait. Nah, we're not doing that either. So we're gonna check this video out, man. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Join the fam. Haha. Yeah, we're not doing that.
We all know that the ocean is a place full of secrets and unsolved mysteries. It's deep, extremely huge, and scary, so we can't really check it all out. Apparently, some rivers and swamps seem to be as mysterious as the oceans.
Oh my God! Now, why I can't go to a river that do that, bro? Can you imagine going to a river and the fish just jumping into the boat? You there like 5 minutes, you got 30 fish. My freezer is full. You know what I mean? I ain't got a fish for the next several months. Now I want some fried fish. Who else was thinking that too?
Ever decided to search the bottom, you'd probably find quite a lot of cool stuff down there. And every once in a while, some unlucky individuals manage to accidentally happen across truly intriguing things. Here are 15 of the most terrifying things found in rivers and swamps. Number 15. Loch Ness catfish. When a fish like this gets a hold of your fishing line, you know you're in for the fight of a lifetime. And if that...
Look at, bro, have you ever fought a catfish too? Like, try to reel it, like, catfish put up some strength already at normal size. Look at, bro, you finna have the fight of your life, man. He might pull you out the boat.
That's what you're looking for, then the Wells catfish is the perfect fish for you. It's one of the biggest, most dangerous freshwater fish you could ever run into. And as you can see by the power of this fish's strike on the fisherman's bait, followed by the whipping of its huge tail, this European native fish has caught the attention of anglers and fishers worldwide. They're also notoriously hard to catch and very aggressive. Plus, the Wells catfish size...
You heard what he said? Hard to catch, fam. Yeah. Ain't no regular fishing line just gonna get you that right there.
...can grow up to 16 feet. In fact, the largest verified world record for the biggest ever caught weighed a whopping 250 pounds. However, several records exist from the 1900s of Wells catfish bigger than this. There have been stories of these creatures weighing up to 800 pounds, although there's no proof for such claims.
Imagine somebody going noodling and sticking their hands in the mouth of that.
But beware, this is one dangerous fish. There are several stories out there of these fish feasting on humans. They simply open their mouth and swallow them whole. So, you too can catch this fish if you're brave enough. All you need is a fishing rod, some bait, preferably smaller fish, and a sturdy boat that won't fall. With your fishing equipment, it's you against one of the most dangerous fish of the fresh water. Now, let's get ready for today's open discussion. If you've seen the 1980s movie Splash, then you already know the end of that love story. It involves a young man who falls in love with a mysterious woman who's secretly a mermaid. Lucky for the mermaid, when she wasn't in the water, human legs would replace her fishy tail. This is Hollywood after all. But if this image is to be believed, we have a different kind of mermaid living in this creek. Is there such a thing as a mermaid that doesn't live in the ocean? The water doesn't even look deep enough to swim in. Then again, maybe this mythical sea creature is taking to land slowly to find her true love, just like in the movies. And if you're the lucky person to stumble upon this mermaid, you could be the human of her half fish, half human dreams. Interested? Use the hashtag open discussion and leave some comments. You want to know a little secret? If you smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, you'll have superpowers for the rest of your life. So what are you waiting for? Time to fly. Number 14. Alligators disguised as rocks.
No.
A Florida canoe company recently posted an extremely clinch-worthy video with...
He said canoe, fam. Canoe. You were in a canoe around that big of a gator, bro? You just playing with your life. You playing with your life.
the caption. That moment you realize your canoe was stuck on an alligator's back. That's probably something most of us will never get to experience. But still, this video says it all. The clip, which was shot by a see-through boat rental company, shows the apex predator wedging itself underneath the clear-bottom canoe. The boater thought he'd gotten stuck on a jagged rock submerged in the shallow waters. Nope. They could clearly see this was no rock the boat was perched on. It was an alligator attempting to swim up to the water surface. And this alligator was, as you'll see, particularly massive. The idea of living on a body of fresh water anywhere in Florida that does not have alligators is just not that realistic. Not for very long anyway. There's a lot of them. Alligators are a part of the natural order here and are really quite common in most of Florida's lakes, rivers, and streams. Even the best efforts at keeping a body of water gator-free are guaranteed to be short-lived. As for this gator, the boater doesn't say exactly how they got themselves into this jam, but they did mention in a comment that the gator eventually backed away slowly. Number 13.
Boy, I would have been sitting there just quiet, like, just praying. Like, at that point, I don't know, man. I seeing that big of a head of a gator, knowing all he got to do is just lift up and I'm in the water, I probably would have passed out.
Huge mystery creature. Does Ireland have its own Loch Ness monster? A film crew shooting a short film on Ireland's Low Foyle took the video of what appears to be a large creature swimming beneath the surface of the tidal estuary. The Loch Ness monster, affectionately known as Nessie, is a creature in Scottish folklore that's said to inhabit Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It's often described as large, long-necked, and with one or more humps protruding from the water. Popular interest and belief in the creatures have varied since it was brought to worldwide attention in 1933. Maybe Ireland has a similar beast. The truth is that whales have been sighted in these waters before, so it's probable that the mysterious creature has a perfectly ordinary explanation. But not everyone is so convinced. Local critics accused the student filmmakers of setting up the mystery creature video, claiming when viewed at higher definitions, they pointed out a number of inconsistencies in the footage which suggest it's a spoof. But then again, no real proof of the Loch Ness monster actually exists, but many people believe it to be real. Number 12. Alligator gar. It would be easy to mistake this creature for an alligator. They do share a name, after all, but this is a fish called alligator gar. Easy mistake, right? Besides being extremely difficult to catch, the scales of this
Easy mistake. It still look dangerous.
alligator gar are so hard that humans have used them for a breastplate armor, carve arrowheads, and even build luggage. Gars are distinctive fish with long cylindrical-shaped bodies and heads with elongated jaws and needle-like teeth. The alligator gar is one of the largest of all freshwater fish, with one measuring 10 feet long and weighing 280 pounds. And like alligators, this ancient family of fish has several primitive features, such as a skeletal system that contains a great deal of cartilage instead of bone. Also, their vertebrae are similar to those seen in reptiles. This type of vertebrae is found in no other fish species. Finally, gars have a swim bladder connected to their esophagus, which acts like a lung. This allows gars to breathe air in stagnant waters with little oxygen. Fossil evidence shows that the species have been around for almost 100 million years since the early Cretaceous, and they've retained the morphological characteristics of their ancestors. They're referred to as living fossils or primitive.
So are people eating this fish or something? Like they're capturing people eat. Have you ever ate a garfish? I've never heard of that being on the menu or nothing like that. So I'm curious. I'm gonna have to look at that and see.
Fish. Number 11. Voodoo cauldrons. Voodoo is a sensationalized pop culture caricature of a religion that originated in Haiti, though followers can be found in Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Brazil, the United States, and elsewhere. but it has very little to do with the so-called voodoo dolls or zombies. And these fishermen caught some voodoo artifacts in the Detroit River recently using magnets. And yes, magnet fishing is very much a thing. Just imagine the stuff you could pull up from the bottom of a river or lake using high-powered magnets. But this father-daughter fishing day usually involves pulling in fish, or at least trying to. The two started doing group fishing missions with other magnets' heads and putting videos of their finds up online. But for the dad and daughter duo, a good catch might be a bike or a pocket knife. Not today. It's kind of creepy how many cauldrons there are. Who knew Detroit was such a voodoo hotspot? The Afro-Caribbean voodoo practice involves a whole assortment of cultural elements, personal creeds and practices, including an elaborate system of folk medical practices. These voodoo cauldrons represent their sacred traditions and the local history. Number 10. Plane wreck. On November 22nd, 1971, a twin-engine Aero Commander 560A took off from Chatham, Massachusetts, bound for Newark, New Jersey. The plane carried a pilot, a co-pilot, and 4 passengers, but things didn't go as planned, as you can see, as the flight was passing over and encountered sleet, a low cloud ceiling, and icy conditions on the wings. The ground fog was also present. When one of the engines began to run erratically, the pilot radioed help and requested landing instructions, but it didn't make it. The aircraft went down in a thickly wooded, swampy area. The plane was left at the crash site, and now, decades later, one videographer has found it. There were so many trees as they went down that the wings were ripped from the plane, causing it to flip upside down, and the fuselage was cracked open on impact. Local newspapers report that the woods were so dense where they crashed that a helicopter had to lower a doctor to the site to administer aid to the passengers. The rest of the rescue workers had to trudge through 2 feet of mud for a half-mile to get out there. These woods are no joke. They're dense and a brook runs completely through them, making them muddy and swampy year-round. Number 9. Hungry grizzly bear. We've all tuned into fishing shows to see what these skilled fishermen are reeling in. While pursuing salmon in the Alaskan wilderness, you have to keep your head up. You never know when you might.
It's always funny to see a grizzly bear. You don't put in all that time and effort, he just comes steal your catch. That's always funny to me.
You get a 400-pound.
Better that than you, he out here trying to, you know what I mean?
Spectator who's looking for a quick meal. That's what happened to this crew. It's believed they originally got their name after the word grizzly, meaning gruesome or scary, named after their horrifying reputation. They're huge. Some huge male grizzlies have been reported to stand as high as 9 feet and weigh over a ton. They're apex predators too. That means they're at the top of the food chain. They hunt large.
9 feet over a ton. That just tells me I ain't got a shot. You ain't got a shot. And, you know what I mean? What they tell you, get in the fetal position, that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Just get in the fetal position. 9 foot a ton? Bro, he'll toss you around like a paperweight. Like
mammals such as moose, caribou, and bison, using their speed and strength to catch them. But when times are tough, grizzly bears are also very opportunistic eaters, as these fishermen found out. They'll also eat carrion, things that are already dead, forage for berries, dig into sand for razor clams, eat grass, and go fishing in rivers. Grizzly bears are notoriously good at fishing. Every year, grizzlies gather to fish for the salmon that are swimming upstream to spawn. As many as 20 can be seen in one spot, where they often catch salmon leaping out of the water with their paws. Number 8. Asian carp. What is an invasive species? Basically, these species are plants and animals that have been moved, typically over long distances, outside of their native habitat and into a new region, impacting the other species that live there. And unfortunately, Asian carp have become just that in the United States. As you can see, they're everywhere in major rivers and lakes across the country, swimming in huge numbers where they shouldn't be. The 4 types of invasive carp currently found in the U.S. were imported into the country for use in aquaculture ponds, and the newest invaders, bighead carp, black carp, grass carp, and silver carp that originated from Asia, are collectively known as invasive carp. These invasive carp species are causing issues in the Mississippi River and surrounding waters. This system is like a giant freshwater highway that's given these fish access to many of the country's rivers and streams. Plus, they're fast-growing and prolific feeders that outcompete native fish and leave a trail of environmental destruction in their wake. And these fish pose safety threats for boaters in lakes and rivers. So the first time you
mess around and get a concussion, bro. Yeah, you come through that one, hit you in the head hard enough, fam. You be knocked out in the boat. Wake up a couple hours later, like 50 fish in your boat.
Notice these carp, they're jumping out of the water and hitting you in the head or knocking someone out of the boat. Number 7.
That's crazy.
Russian tank. The T-34 is a medium tank that entered service in 1941. It's well known for its deployment alongside the Red Army during the Second World War. Over the generations, more than 80,000 of these tanks would be produced for use by the Soviets as well as communist allies at the time, including China, Cuba, and North Korea. You're looking at a bit of history being dragged out of the mud. Imagine how much horsepower is required to get these things out of a swamp after being buried for over half a century.
Yeah, but you gotta be careful as well. What type of explosive could be in there?
The T-34's wide tracks were believed to be specifically designed to deal with savage winters and harsh, snowy, muddy terrain. The T-34 was a beast on the front. However, the tanks were prone to sinking in the snowy terrain because of their narrow tracks, and that's probably why it remained here in this freezing, muddy swamp for so long. It settled in 12 feet of water and 6 more feet of mud covered it. During a 2-week period, volunteers from a local diving club washed the silt from the tank. Then it was pulled to the shore. The T-34 was then taken to the War Museum, and they were even able to start the diesel engine without needing any spare parts. Number 6. Horned snakes. These distinctive serpents can be found all over Africa, common in wet and damp forests on the continent. They're called
That look like you step on that, you just dead.
rhino vipers, and they're found in the lowland regions of deep rainforests where regular floods have made the soil
Look how it's camouflaged in with the leaves, bro. Deadly.
damp and moist. These terrestrial snakes can even at times be seen climbing or resting on trees. Deadly venomous. There's no doubt it's one of the most beautiful snakes in the world. Also known as riverjack snakes. They're well camouflaged in the leaf litter. But the cool thing is that their coloration is an adaptive feature. The degree of light and dark colors depends on its habitat. This wetland species has darker colors which allow it to blend well with the jungle floor. They can grow to be somewhat large in size, up to 7 feet
That one looked like he was shedding.
in length. The head of this animal is considerably smaller in size than its body. However, the rhinoceros's viper's head is one of the most distinguishing characteristics. Triangular in shape, there are horns above each nostril. This nightmare snake is known to have the longest fangs of any venomous snake. Since they've adapted well in the interior parts of thick forest territories or wet forest pools, you don't really see these vipers near people or in urban communities. Thank goodness. Number 5. Swamp gas. If you're near the shore or on a boat and you see the water bubbling like this, steer clear. It's very, very flammable. Wetlands are the largest natural source of atmospheric methane in the world, and therefore remain a major area of concern with respect to climate change. These waterlogged soils have distinctive communities of plant and animal species that have evolved and adapted to the constant presence of water. This high level of water saturation creates conditions conducive to methane production. Most methane production occurs in oxygen-poor environments. Because the microbes that live in warm, moist environments consume oxygen more rapidly than it can diffuse it from the atmosphere, wetlands are the ideal environments for swamp gas. This swamp gas develops from the breakdown of organic matter in persistently wet areas. It's believed that as the gases escape into the atmosphere, the methane mixes with the phosphenes and can even create light seen hovering over these swamps. Also called ignis fatuus, Latin for foolish fire, it was discovered by scientist Alessandro Volta, who discovered methane in 1776. He believed that lightning mixed with the swamp gases caused the ghost lights. We don't recommend ever playing with fire around swamp gas. Number 4. Giant sinkhole. A sinkhole is what it says it is, a cavity that
Not only you gotta worry about gators, snakes, huge catfish. All of a sudden you can turn around and see a sinkhole happening. Bro, it's a million ways to kill you.
Opens up in the ground caused by water erosion and provides a route for surface water to disappear. And not just the water, everything else in the area goes with it. And where there's limestone bedrock anywhere in the world, sinkholes can happen. Just like here in Louisiana in the United States, huge chunks of their coastal communities have been swallowed up by sinkholes. And the footage is dramatic. The underwater sinkhole devours a small grove of trees in this swamp, and emergency workers were filming on the scene when the activity began. The hole first came to the attention of authorities a week before this event when residents noticed bubbles in the water of the southern Louisiana bayou, believed to have been created when an underground saw dome cavern collapsed earlier in the month. It quickly grew to 324 feet in diameter and reached as deep as 422 feet, causing major evacuations in the area. Besides that, authorities have even more concerns, worried that the hole may be releasing swamp gas, which is not much different than lighter fluid. It becomes extremely flammable upon release. Number 3, will of
How do you combat that?
the wisps. The natural swamp science lured curious travelers to their doom and is the inspiration behind the modern-day jack-o'-lantern. Legend tells that many years ago, travelers wandering near a marsh would see the flicker of light in it and mistake it for the glow of a candle from a home window. As they approached, the light dimmed and dimmed until it eventually vanished. Alas, no home to be found. So they followed the wisp of light into the deep wetlands, where they would eventually find themselves lost among the reeds, where many were never heard from again. This fiery glow, typically observed hovering above stagnant water, became entrenched in European folklore. Some accounts say it was a satanic sprite that wielded a fleeting wisp of fire, earning the name Will with the Wisp or Willow the Wisp. In other variations, it was the lost soul of a man named Jack. See where we're going with this? After being denied entry to the underworld, this Jack haunted the night with his homemade lantern made off with a burning piece of coal held within a carved turnip. Thus, this tale recounts Jack with the lantern. Later, the two stories would mesh, and we have the modern-day jack-o'-lantern. Number 2, swamp monsters. Living near the brackish marshes that make up this nature reserve in France, one of this artist's passions has always been to go into the swamp, walking along creaking wooden bridges, watching the landscape change with the tides that submerge part of the land. During one of the visits, the artist decides to mix art with swamp algae. She had no idea, and this is what was created. Having noticed that the texture of this seaweed,
Y'all ain't got nothing else better to do, bro, than freak somebody out like that. Especially the one that was leaned over into the water. Man. Oh, bro, imagine seeing that. 'Cause most fishermen like going early in the morning. Imagine coming around the corner and seeing that.
performed a lot like human skin, and that if left to dry, it assumed the consistency of fabric. The artwork started to take shape, literally. And artist Sophie's haunting swamp monsters continue to thrive in this nature reserve in the Gulf of Morbihan in France. According to this artist's mission statement,
I like it though. I like it. It's weird, but I like it though.
these unusual and frankly scary sculptures reflect our constant and intense dialogue with nature. The artist's strange primordial figures, human-like yet made of plants, emerge from the mud of the swamp, forever changing and growing and dying at the same time. The colors, textures, and drying skin of these creatures changes with time, as well as the organic landscape in which they call home. An unforgettable walk in the park for sure. This art looks right at home. Number 1, Bronze Age Axe. This person was the second person in 3,000 years or so to hold this amazing Bronze Age axe head, which is an amazing piece of history and a phenomenal artifact. The relic hunter, who specializes in shallow water river hunting, struck gold, so to speak, in the form of an ancient axe, as the crew tackles the mighty river fort in the shadow of Stirling Castle in Scotland. In the first archaeological river search of this spot ever, the team set out on the hunt for relics of Scotland's greatest medieval warriors, revealing secrets from the battle sites of their most famous victories against their hated English overlords. However, the relic hunters came across hugely significant finds dating much deeper into history as they unearthed a Bronze Age axe head and spear tip from 1000 AD, leading...
Y'all know what this means. he done found something of super value. He finna make him some money.
Our experts to believe that this area was a potential pagan place of worship. As for the relic hunters, they're masters who specialize in shallow water river hunting with over 1 million followers, regularly posting videos.
I can't read lips, but I think he said this is gonna be worth a fortune.
With news of their latest finds, anything and everything from Civil War relics and a hoard of silver coins from the 1700s. They use the latest kit in submersible metal detectors, snorkels, whatever it takes. In some ways, these videos make us want to steer clear of most swamps and rivers, but then again, some incredible things are waiting there to be discovered, both fascinating and terrifying. Make sure you bring a friend along with you though. We never know what's waiting there for us.
Nah, fam. Nah, bro. Catfish that could just eat you. You in a canoe. You roll over an alligator. Oh, snap. Sinkhole. Methane gas. Oh, like, fam. Nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. And I used to love to fish as a kid. I think I'm gonna stick to, a little pond, off the bank, maybe even the pier. That's what I'm gonna do, man. Yeah. I'm gonna keep it like that. I don't need to go to all these extravagant areas. Nah, you got snakes all curled up and camouflaged. I'm good. Listen, man, y'all get at me in the comment section. Let me know what you think. What they captured in the river shocked the world. Definitely shocked me. All right, it's your boy L. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.